right, gentlemen, thank you all for a wonderful episode. Now let's get into the after show. First off, I want to give a shot for kicking off season 2, episode 1 very well. Jay Woods, I definitely want to thank you and appreciate your input. It was, you know what I'm saying, it's something that we definitely, you know what I'm saying, need and appreciate, and it's always welcome. So, you know, get yourself a mic and you can get on ahead and join in. Randolph about to join back in, I think. But Doc, I want to give a shot. I got a shot for it right now. Doc, I want to give a shot to you for not taking long to get back to the theme where people are more important than things. That is, it's amazing how that just flows out. But thank y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? The BREADren, me and Randolph had talked about it the other day. Is just, I think I sent all of you all the video. There's a couple of organizations basically that's going around doing the good work of spreading, you know, financial literacy and generational wealth, the narrative out in the minority community, specifically the Black community, and you know, now we can kind of put it out there as all 5 of us, you know, myself, Janelle, Destrian, Dr. Love, and Ryan. That's Randolph coming back in now. Welcome back. But we all have something in common besides being fathers and all being married. We have all embarked on a financial venture and a journey together. But most importantly is the underlying principles behind what we're doing. We started a holding company for investing and basically creating generational wealth for ourselves and for others. And the key word in that I want to stress is that we're doing it for others. But part of what we wanted to do under the umbrella of all that we're doing for ourselves is just helping spread the message of, you know, creating generational wealth and how easy it is and different, you know, steps to take. But I want to throw that into the conversation too, since we're here in this after show, because we talked about just how people get, and specifically men, we get caught in the and I want to say that in this hardness of we have to be the decision maker in all things, and not necessarily knowing or understanding when to concede responsibility in the proper arena when it comes to certain things. Like, I know for a fact that my wife is more versed in the arena of nurture. So when it comes to the proper thing to do when it comes to nurture, she is far more versed than I, because it's a natural instinct for her versus me, because I know that I'm coming from the standpoint of, you know, this provider, this hunter, that you know that's the male, you know, the male thing, the hunter gatherer. If we're going real old school, it is the hunter gatherer and, you know, the home. Those are the 2 arenas that we doing, the field and the house. Not speaking in slave terms, we never talk about that, but just holding down and understanding when to concede responsibilities in those certain arenas. Jay Woods, I want to throw it to you first, just to kick us off as the guest, as far as your opinions on being able to do that, and kind of because you kind of alluded to it, as you know, the different steps you went through of just recognizing how to do, you know, how to basically make your relationship work, because you've been married for some years now, and like you alluded to, it didn't come overnight. But just go ahead and speak to that point of, you know, just knowing when to say when, knowing when to hold and knowing when to fold, and kind of speak. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm happy you came to me, because that was, you know, that's definitely something that resonated with me, as far as, you know, I think that in any successful relationship, you have to be able to delegate responsibilities. You know, it's impossible for a man to completely and a woman to, you know, to try and do everything that the other person does and everything like that. You have to, you know, it's too much in this, and there's things that you were born and bred to do. And what you run into when you're trying to be too much like somebody else or anything like that, there's that little voice inside your head that's saying, like, bro, this isn't me. I don't know why I'm doing this, or, you know, this doesn't make sense, or anything like that. So it's like, you need to be able to have that trust in your partner to be able to delegate certain roles within the household and responsibilities and everything like that. And at the same time, still keep the communication lines open as to what's going on. And that's a difficult thing to do because, when it comes to, for me, I've been working since I was 18 years old for a Fortune 500 company, and that's, I've been blessed in that sense. And so I have a ton of experience when it comes to, getting things done when it comes to business. It's not very often that I don't get what I want. And for me to ask my partner or to expect my partner to do that, I didn't go into a relationship with my wife so she can do the things that I can do. I got into the relationship with my wife so that she could bring things to the table that I just simply wasn't capable of, that I knew that I needed. I knew I needed that other side of things. I knew there was things that I didn't have. I never thought I was perfect or anything like that. I knew there was things that, could benefit my family. And that was the ultimate goal. It was putting your family first before yourself. And so if there's 17 or 300 or X amount of traits that is going to be necessary to benefit your family and to create a great future for your family, and you have 10 of them, and that's all you got, then, a lot of times you're going to try and look for somebody who can bring that other 7 or that other X amount of attributes to the table. And that's what I look at my wife for, to go ahead on and bring those other things to the table. Now, you have to be in open communication with your other partner of what you're like. There's no reason why your significant other doesn't know what your strengths and weaknesses are. You can put on this manly medal of, being invincible and you're always right and everything like that. But, ultimately that's only going to really cause a lot of friction in your relationship, and you're not really going to get to your end goal. You need to, one, have a unified goal. You need to have some values for your family, have some ideals and say, this is the platform that our family stands on. It's not just your family, it's her family as well. And then you need to figure out what are the things that the both of you can put forward to help you get toward that ultimate goal for your family. And so it's a struggle when you don't want that to become a competition. It's a patient thing, and yes, it's something that doesn't happen overnight, and it, over time people will start falling into somebody takes care of this all the time and somebody else take care of this all the time and stuff like that. But you don't want to get in a situation where you're competing I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. This is supposed to be stuff that you're taking care of. It'll happen. You're going to get there eventually if you're in a long-term relationship. And that's another hurdle for you to get. That's another hurdle for you to get over to it, fellas. If you haven't gotten to that point yet, you will get there. Like I say, it's a never ending battle. There's always more things for you to grow in your relationship and get stronger and deeper in. But like for me personally, that's in a place that we are right now. It's like we've long since gotten over the financial hurdle. We've been blessed to where that, really my income alone, to be able to honestly say that I haven't needed anything in a long time. I kind of go out there and I work and I put in extra hours to get the things that I want, not the things that I need. They're taken care of. I'm not worried about a rent. I'm not worried about power bills or electricity or food or anything like that. I'm worried about, man, I wish I could go to the Turks and Caicos this summer. Oh, man, I wish I could go home. I ain't been to Dubai yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I done worked all these years, and I've been out here grinding, and I ain't been able to go to, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, right. If you do the things that you want, you'll get to that point too. You can get to that point where it's like, all those things you thought you wanted and that was your lifetime goals, what happens after you reach those lifetime goals? Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with relationships. There's goals that you set in your relationship that you think are really big goals, but if you're doing everything if everybody's putting in 100% effort, you'll get to it, and then you'll find yourself like, okay, damn, what's next after this? And so like I say, the place that I'm at right now is like, I've wanted to be able to delegate and say, hey, you know, sweetheart, I love you. I wish you could take care of this, and you're the better person to do this, and I want to do everything I can to give you the confidence to go ahead on and accomplish those tasks, and I trust you to do it. And I want you to go ahead on and trust me to go ahead on and take care of this so I can make the decisions that I need to make, and you can go ahead on and make the decisions that you need to make without worrying about me or you questioning those decisions. And then when you get there, you don't want to get to the place where your partner might be struggling in what they're doing, or you may be struggling in what you're doing, and you don't want to be going into conversations and arguments about things like they might have questions about what you're doing and why something's not going as well as it should be, or why you're so stressed out about something, because they want to help, but because it's your responsibility as a man, you're like, I don't really need your help. I got this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I'm struggling, but I'm a man. I can deal with this struggle. I can get past it. You know what I'm saying? If I needed help, I would have asked you or something like that. You know what I mean? Because now you're just creating more and more friction in a relationship. You have to be able to delegate those different roles and those different responsibilities, and also be able to identify when is the right time to intervene, when is the right time to back off, when is the right time to kind of, to trust him to get something done. And there's going to be times where it's like, sweetheart, you got to have those interventions at times too, and that's another big hurdle, for people to really get over. And it's not something that happens overnight. And there's no, like, one thing you have to realize is that there really is no end goal in life. There really is no ultimate place to be. There really is no, because if you think about a relationship is just a series of climbing mountains and coming down off of it. That's it.
You mentioned something a little bit back about like setting a goal and reaching it, and I can't remember whether it was DJ or Dr. Lovin in one of the previous episodes from last season where we talked about the Olympian the Olympian. He set the goal. He set the goal. It was like, I want to make it to the Olympics. And he made it to the Olympics, and that was it. But somebody else set the goal of like, I want to get to the Olympics, and I want to win a gold medal. And I would, so it's like you said, like some of the goals that we set, we think that they're these, like Dr. Levin said, we think it's the bag, these big audacious goals where it's like, oh, I want this mansion on top of the hill, and then you get this mansion on top of the hill, and then you find out, oh, the view sucks. And I didn't also set part of my goal as to how I'm going to maintain this mansion. Now I'm dead broke. You know what I'm saying? It's like we don't set these fully encompassing 360 goals that take care of themselves. We set these very singular, narrow-minded goals a lot of times, and it's a setup.
Why? There's a reason why, though. When you think about the superstructure, I'm not just talking about the basic structure. You think about the superstructure of the typical African American family. It is what Jay talked about earlier. It is, I saw my mom do everything. And where's the guy? Very less than half of us, based on statistics, see the father figure in the home doing what men do. And therefore, things are problematic. So when you get into a place where now you got ego and money, you've never seen a man do any of the things you do before. You're doing it. You got some income. Who's anyone to tell you what to do? Wrong approach. You should be empowering that woman and leaning into the things that are important to her because of her you can. And I think that's the thing that we tend to forget, like, those of us who grow up in those environments should be the ones that remember that the most, but we don't. It's a quick departure.
I don't want to cut you off, but I want to throw this in there. Fine. Because here's the thing, and I'm not gonna call you and Jay an anomaly, because I know a lot of know a lot of people that were in y'all situation, and they come out on the side that you all are on now. You're doing great. You're in successful relationships. You're doing
it's definitely exactly. A choice.
But here's the wrench that I want to throw into it is, where does that choice, what do you think is that seminal trait or attribute that you inherited or you saw from your mom? Because like you said, there's really two ways you can go about this. You can see this happening, and you can become the man who relies on the woman because you saw the woman do everything, so you know that they're capable of doing it. Or you see the woman struggling, and because that's your mother, and you care for her and you love her, and you know the sacrifice she's made. Almost going back to that guilt sacrifice, the sacrifice of guilt, the guilt of sacrifice, whatever the way I put it, is knowing let me provide so that I don't see you go through the things I saw my mother go through.
Let me just say this real quick. So part of it is that I think that I don't, you know what I'm saying, I could be, misreading myself or anything like that, but it's like, for me, there is no excuses. There is no excuses for you being a man and getting stuff done. There is no failure. There is no stop. You will always be working, and you will always be doing whatever you got to do, whether you breaking bones. There is no give up. There is no failure. There is no excuses. None of that. And so I think part of it is that you start to look at yourself, and you're constantly reevaluating. Like, I will say this to anybody, man. I am my worst critic. I will always be, and I've always felt as though I have always been my worst critic. When, it's crazy. Like, sometimes when people are like, telling me about the things that are, oh man, you're good at this, or you're doing such a good job, or you're a good father, or you're a good husband. I'm sitting there myself, and I'm thinking in my head, shit, bro, you don't even know. I'm like, well, and it's not because, and it's not, and you know what I'm saying, because over time you become good. You become so good at taking care of the things that society says that you're supposed to do. Those things just come natural to you. It's easy. And so part of the struggle is that it's being what society says that you need to be as a man is easy. You get to that point where it's like, oh, just going to work, providing for my family, taking care of my wife, asking her what she needs and taking care of what she needs. It gets easy. It gets easy. And it's so you find yourself in situations like, some of the worst arguments I've ever gotten to my wife has been me asking her, what does she want or what does she need? And
so look, some of the simplest questions, anybody that's in a real relationship is married, the simple question of what you want for dinner can literally cause 3 days of silence, like North Korea and South Korea. We create a demilitarized zone in the house. What you want to eat.
Easy. And for you, and because it's like, you get to the point where it's like, you build so much confidence in yourself, because after you done struggled so much, after you done been through so many situations, you stop fearing it. You don't have that fear, or you don't have that, you don't doubt yourself, and it's like, and because you're highly logical, and it's like, it's not arrogance, it's because that you've been in a similar situation, you can get through it. I know that it doesn't matter if I lose my job tomorrow, because I'm confident that I can get another job. It doesn't matter if the bills are due in a week and I only have $10 in my account and I need $350, because no matter what, I know ways to go ahead and get that $350. If I need to go house to house selling red hot dogs from Sam's, I know I can make $350. But your partner doesn't know that. They haven't gone through that same experience. And so a part of the big thing is that the way to build confidence and trust in a relationship is because you have to go through things together. You have to, if you haven't, You know, and that's the difference is that, like, you know, we go into relationships, whether it's with your wife or with your friends or your family. If you haven't experienced those situations with somebody together with them, and you haven't seen a solution or you haven't seen yourself overcoming those situations together, you can't have a strong relationship with your body, with somebody. You know, or I would say that it's abnormal for somebody to really just trust somebody wholly if they haven't experienced something similar with somebody. And, you know, if you look at your closest friends, it's like you don't really know somebody or you're not really great friends with somebody until you have struggled through something with them. And so part of that is you have to, the people who you find close to you or you want to be in your inner circle, you need to create situations to where you have to depend on each other. So both of you can see each other pulling their weight and helping to get through that situation. That's the only way through it.
Most definitely. DJ, I know you had a point you wanted to make, and then you're gonna throw it to Doc, and then definitely I got to get my brother Randolph in on this in a minute too, because I know he got something he want to say. But DJ, go ahead, man.
Yeah, man. This brother couldn't have made more valid points than he made, because it's real. Like your upbringing determines so much. And it's not just your upbringing, it's the responses to those things that are happening around you. That's called conditioning. You know, psychologists would call that conditioning. Now, you asked a question earlier about, well, what was it about your parent that put you in a situation to see things differently? Well, specifically, with my mother, I remember it vividly. She sat me down and she said, listen, I can't teach you how to be a man, but I can tell you what type of man I don't want you to be. That was the conversation we had until she got remarried. When she got remarried, we sat down at the kitchen table. In my house, the kitchen table was where every come to Jesus, Horus, whatever, Allah, whatever else you got, Buddha, whomever you come to the altar or to serve, whatever you do there, that's where we came to have that important conversation. So at my kitchen table, my mother told my stepfather that I've told him that I can't teach him how to be a man. I can only tell him what type of man I don't want him to be, and this is what I have told him. The rest is now up to you. And until the day that he died, he exemplified those things that my mother said that she wanted to see in a man and the things that she did not. And so I have a living example, and I may be blessed in different ways than others, but it's a decision. I decided to pay attention to that and follow that instead of what other people were doing. At some point, we have to get beyond the simple means of once a young man or a young woman knows right from wrong, we have to start holding them accountable, because in today's times, it's life and death, man. You can't be out here with the ability to discern right from wrong and making the wrong decision. It will cost you your life. I'm just grateful that in my house, I was more afraid of my mother and my father than the police, because my first responsibility was to my last name. And if we get back to that, we may be able to save some of the lives of these children or these young men, or, you know, that are out on their own, these young women that are on their own. Our responsibilities should be to our last name, because that's your legacy. The goal is to get home. How you get there, we can discuss. But so many of us carry around the lack, and that's the only way I can say it, is the lack of the father figure, and in some cases the lack of the mother figure, the lack of love, the lack of this, the lack of that. Man, lack has killed our community for centuries.
Yeah. You know what?
Go ahead, Doc.
Gaps. Go ahead, bro.
I was gonna say I agree with lack being a problem, but also, man, we trade in a lot of bullshit. Like we, as black men, we have, and this is why it's important for brothers like you and myself too, who are sharing positive, productive messages about what it is that you ought to be doing as a black man in terms of, hey, you know, you have a family, you take care of your family. It's your responsibility to provide for your family and be an emotional pillar and share with them and your time and your love and all the rest of this. It's important that we say this because you got a bunch of folks that's still sharing this pimp foolishness, just being real. You know, they still talking about how, oh man, if she'll work, then why you working? You know, well, if she got a house, you know what I mean? Why don't you just move into it? All this trying to live up off of and take advantage of and not build with and all the rest of this type of stuff. You keep your money, you spend her money. You just all this ridiculousness, man. And I see brothers buying into this and then wondering why they aren't respected by the woman that they're with. What's the respect? And I'm, you know, and I mean, I'm being real. You know what's the?
Hey, Doc.
I'll say this, man. I'll say this, man. Like, look, man.
The Mac, and now it's the City Girls. Because that's all everybody. The goal for everybody now is to get over on each other now.
Yeah, man. So,
man, let me share something, man. Let me share something with you, man. That one of my big brothers, man, shared with me the other day, man. It's like, you know, we went to talking and, you know, we had a similar conversation, you know, about like, you know, a man's role in a relationship and being the head of the household. And it's like, man, a man's duty is to be respected by his house. If you doing something where that's not respectable in your own house, man, you need to go ahead and reevaluate what you doing, man.
Right.
What, you know, and it's like, you need to, like, and that's what, you know, and that's something that, you know, for me, you know, if there's any anomaly in me, I'm like, man, for me, I couldn't even consider not being respected in my own house, man. Like, every action that I take, you know, right or wrong, it's about making sure that I can maintain that status of being respected in my own own home, man. From my wife, my mother, my family, and on top of that, you know, piggybacking off what bruh said, man, it's like my name has to be respected. You know, I don't like to go into a lot of situations where I got to do a lot of talking. I like my reputation to precede me, and at the very least, I want to be respected. You know, and it's like that's the thing that's lost in a lot of these young brothers today is, man, it's like they don't care about respect. They out here doing things intentionally to disrespect themselves.
There it is. And they'll do things to disrespect others, and they have never in their entire lives, you know, they look at the women in their lives as beasts of burden. It's their job to do the financial lifting in their lives, the emotional lifting in their lives. Hey, even the physical, well, you know, they can't clean up or cook or do any of the things that are necessary to take care of yourself as a man. And so I think that we as men have to express a sense of outrage and disbelief about these things, because we can't allow this to continue to be commonplace. Because I promise you, there are a lot of other brothers that'll sit up there and reinforce that foolishness because that's what's comfortable to them.
Accountability.
But it also is it is comfortable to them, but it don't mean it's right. I was talking. A speaker came and I heard him say, he said, you know, a baby will crap in a diaper and cry when you try to change them. Why? Because it's warm and it's comfortable to them. And that's where a lot of our crappy situations are. We are used to it, and it's comfortable to her. That's what we done seen. But you're setting up and shit and it stinks. You know what I mean? Your whole situation around you is not working. It ain't never worked.
Doc
coming through with the analogies. Episode 1 in the after show, Doc has dropped an amazing analogy. Doc said, look, a lot of y'all is sitting in your diapers and shitting and you're comfortable because it's warm.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. This is something my daddy told me a long time ago. He said, the old man told him a long time ago. He said, man, all men need is somewhere to shit, shower, and shave. And they'll be happy. He said somewhere shit, shower, and shave is somewhere something warm to stick their dick in. You know this the after show when we get real.
Hey, hold on, man. Hold on.
This is the after show right
here. Hold on. We've talked several times about
but
so look, the point being made is a lot of folks is complacent. They too comfortable. They're too complacent. And
no more.
There's no more.
Not after this. Hey, you've held everyone accountable with that.
Look, this is season 2, episode 1. If y'all are not used to the truths being dropped, then this is not the forum for you to be in.
It's not the forum.
Look. No, we literally give them 45 minutes to an hour of clean, above board talk that they could hear if they were to hear you or Dr. Lovin speaking at one of these illustrious conferences that you do across the country. The after show is to where you are invited into this office and you understand that I am a part of this conversation as well. And I am not, and I have no decorum. I have no decorum. That is for these large ballrooms.
When they see Dr. Lovin, i.e. Seattle, and he says, follow me at BREADren, and I turn his mic off, just don't be mad because,
Doc,
we can't be losing corporate sponsorship, man.
Listen. If they can't get with the message that we drop, how we drop it, those are not the sponsors we want.
Listen.
Because look, McDonald's been 365 black. McDonald's been 365 black for how many years? They let you say anything.
First of all, these are lies you tell. McDonald's got to a place where they had a monopoly. So it's them, Burger King, and Wendy's. Now, you name somebody else outside of Chick-fil-A that don't even sell beef. It ain't no question, man. You get the toy, you go play in Playland or whatever. You got to take your kid there.
Hey, we
can't compete with that right now.
Look, we getting off kilter.
I think it's important to recognize, our message is refining itself and getting cultivated over time, right? And so is our audience. And I think it's also important to recognize that
we gonna cuss you out every after show.
A little bit of a shaking. Sometimes you need to just hear it where you're sitting, right? Because at the end of the day,
let me make AJ proud, Dr. Levin. Let me make AJ proud right now. Let me tell you what Dr. Levin said. This is pedestrian. Dr. Levin is saying sometimes you got to shake the shit out you, all right?
Yes, man.
Ain't that right, AJ?
Listen, I'm finna look.
No. Don't you do nothing else.
No, you're right. But no, I'm finna ask my brother Randolph a question because this is a very important point of view that I want to bring into the conversation. But the one thing that I do want to say is, listen, people, we have a very distinct goal, but also at this goal is me personally, and I know everybody on this journey, we gonna keep it real. And the one thing that I promise you is that I'm gonna be one of the ones that's gonna always bring it down to a level that I know a lot of other people will understand. Cause Dr. Lovin and DJ gonna keep it above board as long as they can. But they always know that. Look, Dr. Lovin and DJ gonna sit at the front of this boat. But I'm gonna be at the back end, jumping my ass up and down,
just
and
trying to sink the whole damn boat.
Listen, I ain't trying to sink it, but you know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to rock that motherfucker to
You ain't gotta say that. You can just say rock the boat.
No, look. It's gonna be water on the floor, but we ain't going to the bottom, baby. But look, man.
Well,
look,
I hope you got your bucket with you.
Look, bring your buckets, cause I said, man, bring your bucket. Look, man, look. plus folks got to understand. Like I said, we give y'all 45 minutes to an hour of above board talk.
Come on, man.
After which we've already taken.
Come on, man. Focus, man.
No. And then so now we in the after show, and I told y'all we continue this conversation, but we keep it real. The after show is like us, you know what I'm saying? All of us sitting on the porch, sitting in the garage, sitting under the carport after the family reunion. Yeah, this is the porch talk.
There's nothing I can do. There's literally nothing I can do.
The after show is the porch talk.
Anything that AJ is going to say.
I can't stop it. Talk. The after show is the carport talk. The after show is that talk.
This is what
when the family reunion is over with and everybody else is going to sleep and the men folks still outside talking. This is what the after show is.
AJ only does the regular show to get to this. This is his only reason for this.
Look, real with you, that's why during the main show I sit there like a Democratic debate moderator. I just
oh my God.
You know, but you know
15
what? 15
minutes, wrap it up, please.
When you sitting on that porch with your uncle and it's brown licking cups and you can hear those crickets chirping in the distance, man. And folks started telling you about the stuff that they know they messed up on, the things that they wish they had it done. You know what I mean? The opportunities that they left out there. That's the real. That's what this is about. So you got to have.
It's a master's class, man. That's a master's class.
And so yeah, hey man. Sometimes the language gets salty. At certain points of the whole situation. But that's because people care about you. They want you to know that they're emphatic about what they're saying. So.
Exactly. But before we go too long, Randolph, I want to bring you into the conversation because you haven't said a word. I know you back there soaking it up. My brother's the man that sits in the corner of the room, and you know you know what I'm saying. But I want to bring you into it because, like I said, we all married, but you still engaged. But you know what I'm saying. You got a one. Well, Zane about to be one. And then you got Lathan. Lathan finna be Lathan what 5, 6?
6.
Yeah, Lathan 6. So you know what I'm saying. But you still engaged. But y'all got Zane about to be one in a little bit. But just you know, from the beginning of the conversation till now, because you've been listening, kind of off in the background, and you know what I'm saying. And I know you got an opinion on it. But I want to ask you the question of, so far in this journey that you've been on, what has been the hardest you know thing about bringing these the two worlds, like Jay Wood said earlier, meshing these two different worlds together, because you know we're all of us have admitted that we're totally different than our partners, than our wives, and that goes without saying, because opposites attract. Why the hell would you want to be married to them just like you? I mean, I would, because I'd kill me. You dig? So I want to throw that point, that question to you is, what has been the most difficult part about meshing those two worlds?
Well, this off of listening, man, and I got my phone died at some point during the regular show, so I missed a lot of it. But I took a lot of what you guys were saying as far as security, last name, and thought about this process that we're going through right now. Engaged, a lot of pieces flying right now. Pre-approved to buy a house, still looking. She just had a job change. But I think the most difficult part is keeping the communication open 24/7. And as I'm listening to you guys talking, and just blessed to be in this atmosphere, because I'm learning so many things from all of you brilliant married men that have gone through this. It's being together, mentally, spiritually. We meditate together. We've been doing that for several months, in the mornings, at night.
Beautiful.
And I realized that the key thing in it is security. And I say the word security because a lot of men are insecure. And we are insecure but we don't want to talk about it and express some of those things that we are lacking. I heard that word, and I won't elaborate on that right now, but because I'll get off subject. But in order for me to do everything I want to do for my family, make the sacrifices I want to make for my family, I've learned, and through this process, realizing that I have to, one, put them first, and two, because it's new, because I know it's new to her, like I said, we just had a baby, and I didn't even realize. I realized it, but sometimes you have to stop yourself and think. I'm like, man, she did make the ultimate sacrifice, you know, from being pregnant 9 months, having her first child, not knowing, you know, what to expect, putting her life on hold, and it just opened my eyes like, man, as all men, you stop and think, man, I could be doing more. I could be doing this. I could be doing that. But ultimately, I think it's the communication. It's hard. I realize it's hard. I've had, you know, I grew up with a dad in the household. RP to my pops. I tell everybody this, and I'm not ashamed to say this. I didn't become a man until after he passed away. I was 25 years old, kind of just, you know, figuring out life, and then he passes away. And now all I have is those memories, those things that I saw him do as I'm growing up. And those are the things that I lean on, because now I can't have that conversation with him as I wish I could, because now I'm like, man, I wonder what Pops would do in this situation. I wonder what he would say or how he would handle it. But ultimately, I think, just like what all you guys touched on, I believe that the key to a successful marriage, a successful partnership, is, you know, setting those goals like you guys talked about, setting expectations. I think Janelle was talking about, you know, delegating different, you know, things to do for each person. And one key thing that I took away from it, which we've been trying to do, is, you know, I have a 6-year-old son that I have custody over. She's been great. Latham tells me all the time, I wish, you know, Erica was my mom. I said, well, she is your mom. She's a stepmom. But he wants her to be his real mom. But knowing that I'm bringing these two families together, and I've been a father for 6 years, so I know a lot of the things that need to happen, things that need to be done, and her being her first time, it's, you know, making sure that I incorporate myself in everything that she's doing, making sure that she needs everything she needs, because just like, I don't know who said it, but it was an excellent point. You have to go through that together, right? Because I know, you know, raising a child up to 6 years old, she's never had it at all. Or I've actually been through a process of buying a house. She's never been through that. I've been on some struggles. You know, obviously, you know, we talked about things like that. And I may know how to maneuver in this situation. She may not. So her seeing me go through that, me seeing her go through things, us working together, you know, has been great for us so far. Obviously, I hope we continue that. But to finalize this, 'cause I don't want to be too long, I believe personally, my father put together a 100 black men of Waverly Hall, Georgia, and he developed a mentorship program. And I think just on listening to you guys talk, it amazes me of the knowledge that's on this call, doing this podcast, come together like this. It just amazes me of what we could do outside of this podcast, because the issue in the black community is the man is insecure. He does not have that father figure to look at 50% of the time. Some do, some don't. But for the ones that don't, they're lost. And they don't know, so they either resort to the streets or they resort to seeing what their mom did or whatever. And in my brother's case, his mom, you know, told him straight up, hey, I can't teach you how to do that. And obviously he was blessed to have a great stepfather, but everybody's not going to have that. And in the black community, I think it starts with the youth. You know, Doc was saying you got these people in the pimp mind frame. Hey, do this. That's because that's all they know. They see men coming in and out of their house and they little, you know, sleeping with their mom. He eating all the cereal in the morning, right? He not paying no bills. He just staying over there. That's what they see. And so what I take from all of this, and I know I kind of got off subject, is I think ultimately, you know, we all want to be successful. We all want to make a lot of money. We all want to make our, you know, our name, our last name. I'm my dad's only son. I have 2 boys. My last name is very important to me. We all want that. We all want to do those things. I think along the way, we need to figure out how we can impact the youth in that same way so that there's more of us coming up. There's more of us thinking like this. And obviously, I believe that, you know, positivity and education and family and faith and all of that can go a long ways for our youth going forward. So overall, I was just sitting here in awe, just listening to you brothers talk about, you know, these things, what you've been through, how to maneuver through this. But ultimately, the one thing I took away is just the communication and, you know, stopping and saying, hey, I can do this, I can do that, reevaluate it, keeping that open line of communication, and ultimately, you know, the relationship and marriage will be a success.
Most definitely. Thank you so much. I definitely didn't want to go too far along without actually getting your input, and you know, it was well put and definitely needed for this conversation, which we'll definitely pick up. You know, like we said, this is going to be kind of the theme of season 2 as far as the BREADren podcast is going to go. We're going to focus a little bit more on the personal side of things, and being more open and honest with the conversation, particularly when it comes to men, holding each other accountable. I'll be the first to admit that, you know, there are days when I come home and I'm in a funk, and my wife has, you know, I don't want to say learned. She has figured out, you know, she sees it, and she asks me what's wrong. And of course, we all go through the same thing. Every man goes through it. You know, don't bullshit and lie. Say you don't. With you, what's wrong? Nothing. What's wrong? Nothing. What's wrong? Nothing. What's wrong? Nothing. Leave me alone. Ain't nothing wrong. But you know something's wrong. But step number, exactly, they definitely know because they have that emotional intelligence. They're like, dude, your vibe is off. I feel it. Like, I feel vibes. You know, you might be able to read people because you know, you business oriented, and you know, you so corporate minded, or you so business and strong in nature, you know, protector, so you can read people's energy and stuff like that. But I'm reading your emotional energy, and it's off. You're sad, you're depressed, you're in a funk. I know it was wrong. So now I've learned to concede to my wife in that arena, to where, you know, when she says what's wrong with you, I may not exactly know, but I'll go ahead and I'll admit to it. I'll fess up and I communicate, and I say, you know what, I don't know, I'm just in one of my moves, and she'll give me a hug. Right. She'll give me a hug, and honestly,
that's dope.
And you know, say that was one of the points that Jay Woods had brought up.
Don't cry, man. Don't start crying.
But no, that was what. No, that was, look.
Wait, let me just say. Hey,
man, you heard what I said. Dr. Levin, don't you?
Now let me wait. Doc, I'm gonna let you make your point, because I know what point you want to make.
Yeah,
now, if that's what
I do too.
If that's what it takes,
I do too.
That's what you do. In the comfort, look.
You heard what I said. What I said.
Home, you do what you do.
I said what I said.
Jay Woods. Jay Woods brought up the point to saying that he wanted to make sure that he was always respected in his home, and I feel like the ultimate respect in a household and a relationship is the respect of one's emotions and one's well-being and things of that nature, where it's like, I respect you enough to allow you to do what you need to do to handle what you need to handle. Right. I respect you enough to allow you to say, you know what, because what you got to what we have to understand as men is that takes a lot of sacrifice on the woman's part, because if the woman looks at you as like this pure, this pure pillar of strength, and rock solidness that is never supposed to show emotions, then if she sees you do that, then then she might hit you with the, man, if you don't man up,
gets nervous,
like, hold your nuts,
right.
Shit.
It goes back to something that you know what I'm saying, that Destrin said earlier, man. It's like, man, I've had that same conversation, man, like, girl, you just don't know that I do stuff with you that I ain't never done with no female.
Nobody else.
Nobody else. Right. And I think that for a lot of men, you know what I'm saying, that is, because I'm like, it's sacrifice, it's submission, it's giving up a part of yourself, it's weakening yourself and making yourself vulnerable in a way that it doesn't really exist in the world of men. Creating weakness and exposing your own weakness to somebody willingly is not something that you do in the world of men. And that I think that a lot of times is that, when it comes to respect from your significant other, from a female, it's about them realizing or them acknowledging the fact that they can do stuff that aside from being your wife, no other female can do, because there's a lot of times your wife can do things like, look, female or not, you probably would have got the business if you would have like that.
Let me jump in here with you. Let me jump in here with you right here, because what you're saying is important, right? So one of the things that I wrote down earlier tonight, never said anything about it or whatever. Dr. Levin will appreciate this based on his stepfather being a minister. Obedience is better than sacrifice. And see, when I say that, a lot of men are like, yeah, that's right. That you're damn right. Obedience is better than sacrifice. But I mean that for the men. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Listen to that woman. Like, listen to her. Because sometimes we get so hell-bent on them being subservient to us. And what the brother just said earlier was, hey, you know what? If I'm really thinking about it and I'm trying to be subservient to her and lead by example and show her that there is strength in sacrifice, when she is in a position to need to do that for me, then she won't feel less than, because I've done it as a man. But we fall short in that arena on many occasions because the ego is so big. So one of the things that we have to do in terms of striking balance is to realize that obedience from our perspective or from our side is better than sacrifice. It's not about the woman being obedient to us. It's about us being obedient to what we've been called to do for that woman, which is to be there for her, nurture her, and like AJ said, in many cases, share the things with her that we don't share with everyone else. If you need to have an emotional moment, there is no better person to have it with your woman. Because I'm gonna clown you when you have it with me. But I'm gonna be there for you too. But you're gonna get clowned first. I'm like, everybody all right?
I tell you this, bro.
You gonna get it.
I tell you this, man. Like, the best moment you can have, bro. And like, I'm sure my wife is probably going. I'm sure my wife is probably going to eventually hear this at some point. But it's like, you can't force it. But when they come to you and be like, yeah.
You breaking up? What happened?
Man, you can't. It don't matter how much logic you give to them. It don't matter how much reason and how many examples or anything like that. You're not going to win that argument or whatever you going through or anything like that, man. You got to be patient, bro, and let them come to it on their own. But I tell you this, be humble in that situation, and you go ahead on and take it. But I mean, as a man, bro, that is a beautiful thing, bro. That is one of the most beautiful things in a relationship, bro, for you to get to a situation where your other half come to you and that vision or that plan that you put forward to them, and they give you that acknowledgement, and they submit to you, and they give you the man, you got this baby.
You got an awesome responsibility. Yeah. You know, you got an awesome responsibility on your hands once that happens, because, you know, I'll lean into my grandmother here, who she completed all of the 6th grade, but there's wisdom in her life's journey. And my grandmother shared with me, and she told me, she said that if a woman gives you her trust and the ability to make her decision, you do well to include her on that. Now, that's common sense, right? But my grandmother, in her 6th grade education, also told me that common sense ain't so common. Mm-mm. And that's something that I've carried with me for a long time, because those are basic principles that would seem that we would do, but we don't. If someone says, hey, it's your decision to make, you just let me know what you want to do. Sometimes we're so quick to do what's convenient to us, we forget that the person we're taking with us is going to largely define what that experience and journey is like. Mm. And that's what we forget. We forget about and not in a negative way, I call it the bags that we pack. We forget about the bags we have to pack. They could be heavy or light.
That's that when somebody gives us the keys to drive, we forget that other people are in the car.
Come on.
So we start driving and we forget that there are other people in the car.
Hey, yeah, man, you gotta remember it.
I just, when we are talking about, and I think we had a whole sort of the last part that was going to be about reflection and self-care and centering yourself, which we didn't really get to in this, but I'm sure we will at some point this season. Mm-hmm. It's important for me to, you know, at least put this out there, man. We, especially as black men, seem to have a problem with the handling of our emotions. Okay. Crying is something that happens when you are legitimately emotionally overwhelmed. This is a human response. Okay. And I'm not saying get stuck in crying and just do
nothing. What you're saying is that you do it a lot, is what you're saying.
Actually, I don't.
I'm messing with you. I know you don't. I know you well. I've encouraged you to do it.
Doc, drive the boat, man. Don't
man, I was gonna say, I almost wish that I
wish you did
a little bit,
right, spontaneously combustible.
But my point is that when situations overwhelm you got to be able to acknowledge it. And then you need to be able to act. And so that I don't have a lot of crying experience, but I've got a lot of martial arts experience in a martial art where submission is a very large part of what you do. Acknowledging the pain that you feel, the fact that you're stuck, and if not for a yielding of your opponent, you would either have a limb broken or life taken away with you by virtue of your brain being deprived of oxygen, right? And so you get to a very literal place where you recognize the relationship between living and understanding how your body is feeling and doing in direct contrast and competition with another individual. And I think it's important for you to recognize that on that level, and important for you to recognize it more broadly, that you are not a machine. You are a human being. You are subject to fault. You are subject to feeling, and all of those things add to, not take away from, they add to your overall human experience. So feel deeply, love deeply. When you are sad, you can be sad and understand that and let that feeling happen without you feeling like you got to shoot somebody because you're sad, or feeling like your feelings are hurt. So now you gotta pick up a gun and aim at somebody because you don't know what to do with that feeling, because you were attracted to somebody who you thought was a man, was a woman. They ended up having been a man before, and they're a transsexual person. And now you feel like somewhere within yourself, you have been attacked on such a fundamental level that now it's time for you to kill this individual because of how you felt about them. You have to learn how to control and deal with yourself. so that you can be effective in this world where all sorts of things might come at you. I know I went in a lot of different places, but I'm sorry, man. I see so many brothers.
No, you went where it's needed, because basically the bottom line that's being made is men.
Yeah.
We have to literally, put down our normal toolbox, and we have to grab our emotional toolbox, and we got to go in there. We got to shine off these tools that have never been used. We've got to go to the store and buy some tools that we've never owned. And we've also got to become proficient with these tools that nobody's showing us how to be proficient with. We got a lot of tools. We got a lot of tools in this toolbox that we don't even know what the name of them is. And that's basically the bottom line when it comes to emotions, because we are so programmed to be men. We, a lot of misguided anger, concepts, notions, preconceived and, premeditated and things come about. To where it's, you know what I'm saying, there's a lot of blame that can be placed in a lot of different areas, but the midnight oil burns and the smoke gets into my eyes. So we're going to go ahead and close it out, because as you can see, season 2 is going to be a doozy, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure that you will subscribe to us on all of our various social media. You can find us at BREADren Pod, BREADRENPOD on Instagram and Facebook. You can also listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, Google, iTunes, Castbox, Pocket Cast, everywhere. Google us. You can find us. It's not hard to find. Tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody that you listened and they should listen too. Especially my brothers who are listening, our brothers who are listening. Pass this on to another brother, especially one that's younger than you, so we can start changing the narrative, changing the perspective, and changing the landscape that is the life that we live. I want to definitely extend my warmest and sincerest gratitude and appreciation to my brothers, Destrian Wells of Destrian Wells Consulting, Dr. Ajama Levin, PhD of Levin Consulting, LLC, my brother Ryan Randolph, and my brother John L. Woods, all of which are a part of the 4640 Holding Company, coming to a city near you. Check out your local investments. We doing it big, and we plan to make it big enough to everybody to eat and enjoy. Starting with us, we are first in line to get our plates. Don't hate, just listen, and hopefully you can find a little bit of motivation in what we say, because like we said, this is the BREADren Podcast, where we always talking about our bread, and we always getting to the money and the bread. Ladies and gentlemen, Season 2, Episode 1, and the Aftershow of the BREADren Podcast has been completed. We appreciate you, we love you, and good night.